The American Constitutional Republic, affairs of state in Oklahoma, the beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people just like me. This is 3D Politics, every Monday night right here on Facebook Live, featuring creator Sooner Politics, the online newspaper, expert on Oklahoma state government, David Vann. And of course, every weekend we count on David Oldham, founder and scholar at Constitutional Grounds, political leader, educational speaker, former state of Oklahoma elector, the United States Electoral College, and of course, me, your fine host, the verbal Viking, comedian, political humorist, father of five, and former mayoral candidate, Tommy McKay. And here we are again. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we got an exciting show. We're going to move quickly. Dr. Willie J. Montague from Florida. He is running for Congress, and as you know, they work all sorts of things against us, and we are going to use their same mentality. Florida, the Florida Freedom Update. DeSantis is leading the way out there as one of the greatest governors known. And our sister state in liberty is Florida because of how well they're showing us how to lead the nation. And Dr. Willie J. Montague is here tonight for the first half hour. Later tonight at bottom of the hour, Brian Hobbs, the recent mayor of New Kirk, Oklahoma, and he is going to bring us his eyewitness account on the Health and Freedom Conference brought to us by Clay Clark, the amazing Oklahoma entrepreneur who had it had General Flynn, Lynn Wood, Mike Lindell, and David D'Ambroso even at the conference there in at Rima TV. It was a Rima.tv, fantastic thing. Yeah. Clay Clark is just rocking it out there. But without further ado, let me introduce to everyone here and bring him in to the product. I'm going to give him a little intro here. There he is, Willie J. Montague. I know he can see us. I know we can hear him. We just checked this out. Here he is. I'm going to read. Hello. I appreciate you being here, Willie. I'm going to ask you because I know you're a doctor. Is that correct? You have a doctorate? Is that correct, Dr. Willie J. Montague?
Yes, in religious studies.
Okay, in religion. I was going to clarify that because I knew that was true, but I didn't know what it was. So it's Dr. Willie J. Montague. And here is his bio. Essentially, it's a real short because going through all of your credentials and your resume takes the whole show. You got so much stuff going on. It's just incredible. So here he is, Willie J. Montague. I am a father, he says, a pastor and a conservative. I value family, faith in our country. I'm pro-life, pro-2A, and pro-election integrity. But what I am not is willing to watch my community decompose under liberal agendas. My name is Willie Montague, and I'm running for United States Congress in Florida's 10th District. It's time we restore Christ in Congress, faith in our communities, and the American dream in America. www.teamwillie.com. So thanks for being here. One of the main things I want to bring you on for, because people ask me, why are you bringing a guy on from Florida? And I'm like, well, the main reason is he was running against Val Demings. And that's that's my personal bent.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
He left out probably the most important thing to this audience is Willie's a former Oklahoman, I understand.
Well, there you go. Okay. Well, you don't want to damn him. So the thing is, Willie's running against Val Demings, and did she ever just disdain me with the documents. She wanted to see documents. So anyway, that's what hooked me on Willie J. Plus, he's a friend and a colleague of David D'Ambroso. And so here we are bringing him into the mix, but you're running there. Also, they use I'm almost done. Sister cities and all this stuff they use against us. Willie J. Montague is going to bring us the Florida Freedom Update because Florida is our sister city in liberty here in Oklahoma. DeSantis is killing it. He's just rocking it. One of the greatest governors we've ever seen. Willie, give us the update from Florida on the COVID response and reaction from DeSantis, your governor, and then we'll move into the other stuff.
Right. Well, Governor DeSantis is doing an awesome job with making sure that Floridians are not only have the option to be able to be actually liberty centered, but he's also given us the option to just really just be Americans without us having to be restrained by or imprisoned by mass. So what we're seeing take place right now is that pretty much we don't really have any restrictions when it deals with the mandate other than those that are put on by our local municipality government. So right now I live in Orange County, where those that you may not know Orange County, we say Orlando, you know Orlando. So I live within that county.
Of the devil.
Our mayor is Jerry Demings, which is Val Demings' husband. And so we are in
Is that from the root word demon?
Yeah.
I told him don't try to be funny, but sometimes he does.
So okay. we are pretty much still under that governance of what happens when we go into local restaurants and so forth. Mm-hmm. But Governor DeSantis pretty much removed any of the fines that was trying. I know that the mayor was actually trying to find businesses and he actually have strike teams, which I thought was just absolutely crazy to have a group of individuals that basically go spy out on these businesses to determine whether or not they meet the ever-changing CDC guidelines. And so he came up with strike teams. The fines was like $15,000. And then on top of that, he's not willing to really lift any of the mass mandates that are around, except I saw where something that he's saying he may roll some things back starting in June, which it's about 60 days. About 60 days from now. So, it is our governor's doing whatever he can to make sure that we're staying free. However, we're dealing with the different counties and we're dealing with the mayors there that is actually trying to fight against Governor DeSantis. But I would say something that he signed today, those that may have seen it, was that anti-rioting bill that he signed today, which I think is an awesome piece of legislation because it holds accountable local governments such as Jerry Demings, who would allow pretty much a stand down. We see a lot of riots normally birthed right out of Orlando. And so I think that's great. And he signed it right in Osceola County, which is our sister county.
Right. And the Demings thing is a problem with nepotism, whereas it's not what you know, or it's who you know. Mm-hmm. So if you're part of the family, you're in it.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, this is fantastic what DeSantis is doing, but we also have a recalcitrant mayor here in Tulsa, G.T. Bynum. He says, even though Governor Stitt is going to say what he says about freedom, not so fast was the.
Yeah, because I promised the health department whatever they want.
So, in fact, one comment real quickly, I noticed that Dr. Dart, in our state, the county health department guy, Dr. Dart said that he's waiting to hear what he's supposed to do from the CDC, which is the national guidelines. Yeah. And our mayor in Tulsa said he's waiting to see what Dr. Dart is going to do, but we already found out what he's going to do as a national guide. So our mayor is a nationalistic mayor. He's literally waiting on what the national people will tell us what to do in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I'm seeing that as a trend with some of these mayors. They have no backbone. They're cowardice and jellyback, so they can't make decisions on their own.
Yeah. You used to live here, didn't you?
I love that jellyback. I'm going to use that one. I love that.
We're seeing a trend across the United States of people who, they move with the wind.
Yeah.
And it's easy to bend with whatever the CDC guidelines are, which we don't know. They change day by day. In fact, someone has shown me that the CDC had guidelines to try to disprove whether or not there's an issue with the fathers in the home. And I'm trying to find out, what does the CDC have to do with whether or not fathers are in the home? So we see that the CDC is getting involved on every aspect. And somehow these local level officials that were voted by the people forgot about the people.
Yeah.
And also, it seems like they don't have common sense.
Yeah. But Willie, we have to feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel safe with two things: the Bible and the Constitution.
There you go.
Gosh, that's right. So what
Oldham, I
about,
can't hear you.
uh-oh. Oldham's trying to interrupt.
We put him in timeout. Tom, he might
Trouble.
figure out you muted him.
Oh, you're in trouble, Oldham. Well, while see if we can give him a chance. But DeSantis signed another bill also, didn't he? Well, there's two bills that he signed recently, right? He signed.
Well, I know of the rioting bill, and let me see.
There was something about he removed restrictions for the mask mandate routine.
Well, but see, what we're waiting on is for the emergency order, which I believe the 24th is when it's supposed to be, whether or not he will extend the emergency order. That's actually what Jerry Demings is basing his mandate on, is based off of the emergency order that was set last year because of the pandemic. Once that's lifted, he's no longer able to stay under that emergency order, so he would actually be violating the governor's orders and our state constitution.
All right, let's bring Oldham in. Are you live yet?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
No, this is weird. Oh, anyway, so I'm curious because, you know, the U.S. Constitution is supreme over the state constitutions, and every state constitution is different. But how do your elected officials get away in any way, shape, or form violating the Fourth and Fifth Amendments by mask mandates? Or even the First Amendment, that we have a difference.
I believe they get away with it because they just don't. I mean, first, I can speak on Orange County. Look at who's the mayor's wife. And it's pretty much what happened was Governor DeSantis, in his respect for local level, gave the option for them to make what the decision based on what they felt was safe. What happened was you had these tyrants who are overreaching, power hungry, and I'll just stop there. Overreaching, power hungry.
Pretty close right there.
Individuals. So I think that's where it happened. So because of that, they were able to spin from one thing that he allowed and then spin it to another thing and find a loophole. That's what Jerry Demings is doing for sure. Loophole after loophole.
Mission creep. Yeah.
Governor DeSantis removes one part. He comes and he removed individual mandates and individual fines. So what the mayor did was he came back in and said, well, we're going to fine businesses because the CDC regulation says this, and then whatever the businesses says are based off of their corporate rules. So that's how they're going around it. They're really just finding loopholes in any way possible. And that's why I'm ready for Governor DeSantis to put the hammer down and just pretty much say, listen, the mandate, like in Arizona, I've been in Arizona quite often because I'm mentoring one of the guys running for Congress there, and they completely lifted the ban. So it's like, you can walk around without one. The restaurant people don't have one on. And so, and like I said, Governor DeSantis is there, but again, it's whatever the local level is saying. And I think the only way to remove that is for him to be able to make sure that he does not sign, which I don't think he's going to do, the extension of the emergency order.
See, no, I completely disagree. I say that the local, well, no, and it's with all due respect, the locals have no more authority than the governor. Nobody has dictatorial authority, no matter the degree of epidemic.
All right. You're listening to Oldham, the ultimate contrarian, disagreeing with anything rolled on the dice. And I understand what Oldham's problem is because he's against the incrementalism. But I think when Willie J. Montague, who's joining us this evening, talking with Oldham from constitutionalgrounds.com and also David Vann from soonerpolitics.org. Of course, here I am, your verbal Viking. Willie J. Montague from teamwillie.com. And what we're talking about is the situation out there with the local. How do these people get away with violating the Constitution? Willie says something along the lines of the local, etc. And this is what I'm saying back what I say. It's public opinion that allows things to get away with, Oldham. And that's why when Willie says they do things that, so we all remember Concord, when they came for all of the arms and all of the weapons, there was an uprising. So they don't do that anymore. What they do is they come around the back door and the back door and the back door and the back door, and there's not enough public opinion to get outraged about it. That's why the left always uses the phrase raise awareness, because they're always trying to raise awareness. And so the problem is we don't raise the awareness of these constitutional obliterations. Willie, what do you think?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that basically the main issue that we have is what as you said, we do not raise awareness, and we are the ones that have the opportunity to be the voice of what takes place. That's why you are seeing across the country where people are just saying, forget it. You know, there is no mandate. You cannot mandate individuals to do something that's against their body. I'm all with that. But in reference to what was stated, you know, that's how they're seemingly getting away with it, because, you know, people do not know what the Constitution says. They also don't know what their own individual rights are. So when a governor says, well, when in this case, a mayor says, this is what you have to do, people are afraid. They're afraid that a lot of people, even people who are conservatives, are afraid of the cancel culture. They're afraid they're going to be canceled some kind of way. They're going to lose their job. They can't speak out. And so we have people now that's almost every weekend now are having mass burnings. They want to do flash mobs at Walmart where they want to go out and just say, we're not wearing a mask. We're just going to walk around and forget it.
Sure.
I think
if somebody wants to do a flash mob at Universal Studios, I'll come down, because they turned us away. We were just there a month ago, and they turned us away and said, you can't be there. And a good cop I started talking to him about it, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna uphold private property rights and, you know, kick you out and maybe arrest you if you don't leave. And I said, well, how do you get away with doing that? You violate the Constitution. And he started claiming qualified immunity. I mean, right off the bat, it just came out of his mouth. That was in Orlando at Universal Studios.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. And
we thought we were going there for the outdoor shopping, and we didn't realize it was on all this property. So, but to get on the outdoor man mover thing,
you're talking about the city walk, And you know what we do? There's a county here. There was a commissioners meeting, and what we did is we got a group of us. It was like 10 of us. We just walked in, no mask. We sat right in there with all the elected officials, and we just sat down. We moved all the tape when they were trying to make us sit 6 feet apart. We sat next to each other with no mask on. So that's what we're going to have to come down to. We're just going to have to just come in and just be strong.
All right, we're gonna have to move this along because we're just about 5 or 6 minutes here, and I gotta say, I really appreciate your efforts. People, there's no way to express in the time we have here what you've done in your own local area to support your community, and it's amazing what you do. I'm not even going to try to touch it just to say it's there. So I want to move on to what your information on the Montague campaign. We can agree on how Florida is leading the way, and Oklahoma should join in that direction, according to DeSantis, and way to go. So I love the idea of flash mobs and all the other stuff, but let's talk about Willie Montague, Dr. Willie Montague, who's running for Congress, and what makes you, why are you running for Congress? What's your 3 main things you want to do when you get there? And tell us how we can support you at the end of that.
The first main thing is to propose bills to get rid of anything that President Biden put in place. That's the first. Okay. That's the first
Good
main
enough
thing
to start.
To get in there. But no, my things that I've been dealing with that really that tackles Orange County, and I've been sharing this everywhere I've been speaking, is that we have to get back to realize that all politics is local. We have to see that in every area we have issues, and I'm personally working on ground game to really get Orange County back to the place where we can function as a community, and that we are actually seeing that whatever federal dollars come down to Orange County is actually being used for the people. I always use these statistics wherever I go. Orange County has 2,000 plus homeless individuals in Orange County alone. There's we need to work on the infrastructure that we have, job creation opportunities, because now with the border being open and people that have come over. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can I ask? Okay, Willie, some really important things coming up. You guys are going to have to wait till the fall to find out how to redistrict, right? And your legislature is going to redistrict your. Congressional.
We actually won't find out. We were just talking about that tonight. We actually won't find out probably till December, January.
Yes. Okay, so now it sounds like you're going to get 2 extra congressional seats in Florida because of everybody wants to move there because of the low taxes. Who knew?
Right.
And but the unique thing D'Ambroso told me is you don't have to live in the district in order to run for the office, so you don't have to worry about being gerrymandered out to to where you have to go run somewhere else. So you do get to pick the district that you want to run in. And
yeah, we do, but I've already decided I wasn't moving. So what's taking place is that what it looks like is that the districts are either going to shrink. They're going to be an additional district, and then the other districts are either going to be enlarged or shrink. Right now, it looks like
urban ones will shrink. Yeah,
it looks like District 10 is just going to shrink.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in moving because my goal is really to flip that community. District 10 has been. It used to be under the Republican reign, and it was prosperous. And I want us to get back to that place.
This isn't your first run. We got Brian Hobbs waiting at the bottom of the hour. Yeah. And this is not Willie's first run also. So correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like you're committed to your district. It doesn't matter how it shrinks or grows. This is where you're at. And you have a significant amount of charitable organization in that area. So tell us real quickly before we get out of here about those charitable organizations that you run there in the Orlando area and all the things you do that are, I mean, these are incredible things that you do in the Orlando area.
Yeah, I just work with an organization called House of Timothy. Is my own organization that I founded some years back. And we work with youth and young adult men ages 7 to 25. We also work to fight against human trafficking. And then we also work with, of course, the homeless population. So that's houseoftimothy.com. You can visit that website and check out and learn more about it.
So how many times have you run for your district in the Congress?
This is the second cycle. Yeah, This is the second time. Yeah.
Okay. And so how do we contact you and support you? I mean, I love what you're doing. Again, like I said, when I brought you on, I was repulsed by Val Demings, and I find out she's a nepotist, if that's a word. And so, but how do we get a hold of you and support you, Willie J. Montague?
TeamWillie.com is the best way to do. TeamWillie.com. Go up there. You can look at all the platforms of views, phone numbers up there. Call us, email us, and donate, of course.
Excellent. Hey, Dr. Willie J. Montague, I appreciate you being on the show. You always bring a level of excellence to our show. And what you're doing is setting the example out there in Florida, along with Governor DeSantis. And I appreciate your efforts to run for Congress. And we hope to have you on not only in the future, but on a regular basis.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. We're going to beam you out.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
Anything else before you go? There he goes. Thanks for coming, Willie. Thank you, Van. All right, and there he goes.
Shoot.
What happened? What'd you do?
I let someone in too soon. I accidentally.
Oh, no, it's not too soon. There he is. Let's beam him in, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up, just finishing up his recent episode as mayor in Newkirk, Oklahoma. Please welcome Brian Hobbs. There you go, Brian. Can we hear him?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can. Can
Excellent.
you influence my thought? Can you influence my thought?
I'm trying right now.
I'll grow a beard. Fine. I'll grow a beard.
Shave your head.
Yeah. That's what my wife said. Because I had a ridiculous thing for her to do. She's like, yeah, why don't you shave your head?
All right.
So I lost that one too. So Brian Hobbs, way to be here. And thanks for being here tonight. No, we've had you on the show before. Has it been a year?
It's been a minute.
It's been a long, long time. But last time we had you here, you were mayor of Newkirk, Oklahoma, and you were just finishing up your term there. So we want to hear about that, your term, but secondary. But the main thing we've got you on tonight for is to tell us about your eyewitness account at the Clay Clark Health and Freedom Conference 2021. Everybody was there. Like I said, General Flynn, Lynn Wood, Mike Lindell, and even David D'Ambroso was there.
Yeah. I saw all of those people. I got to visit with all those people. So
did you get D'Ambroso's signature?
I did. I got him to autograph my hat.
Everybody.
Yes.
All right. That's enough of me. Tell us.
Yes.
I really wish I could have been there, but tell us what happened. What was it? Go.
Well, first I would like to say Clay Clark knocked this out of the park. I mean, it was just absolutely phenomenal to pull something like this together. The resources, this thing went off without a hitch. I wish I could have said the same thing about our Republican convention the weekend before.
It
was by design, Brian.
I understand that. Anyhow, it was, I just want to give that to Clay Clark. I mean, my goodness, what a phenomenal job. I mean, everything went off almost perfect. I mean, and the level of talent that he brought in, it was just incredible. So
Van,
I know,
excuse me, now, Van, you have to agree with me that Clay Clark, there's no way he could just stumble into that.
No, it took him 6 weeks to organize.
That was the hell of an organization.
6 days, but it took Clay 6 weeks.
You guys want to clarify that? Go ahead, Hobbs.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. This guy is a rising star in my opinion. I got to visit Jackson Laymeyer running against Langford. He gave an incredible speech. It was phenomenal. The crowd was on their feet. People are upset and they're ready to take this thing back. And it was very impressive. That was basically the feeling of the whole event. In my opinion, was just people are fed up. And this was a way for people to unite, like-minded people, God-fearing people to get together and say we're tired of it. And it was incredible. So
great.
I got to meet General Flynn. I got to meet General Flynn. I got to meet Mike Lindell. I got to meet all kinds of people. The Patriot Street Fighter. I mean, just tons of people. Nurse Aaron, gal was a whistleblower, Army vet. She's paid a pretty heavy price. So I've been reaching out to her for the last day or two, and just incredible people, the courage of a lot of these people. I pale in comparison. I mean, these are champs. These guys are awesome, and it was really an honor to just be amongst them.
I want to say it was a faith event until the boxer got up and gave his speech. He was a little bit crude. But no, it was right. I mean, it was an unashamed, unabashed Christian event. It was political, wouldn't you say?
Well, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, but that's kind of the whole thing for at least my generation, and I'm sure probably before that. Your faith and politics don't merge. Well, nowhere. That wasn't the intent of the founders, and I've yet to find somewhere in the Constitution where it says that.
Yeah,
I sure didn't check my faith at the door when I became mayor, and nor will I in any if I ever hold any future position.
Right,
it's part of my life.
If you can, there's something wrong with you. You're listening to Brian Hobbs, the recent mayor of Newkirk, Oklahoma, who recently attended the Health and Freedom Conference put on by Clay Clark that had such representatives as General Flynn, Lynn Wood, Mike Lindell, and even David D'Ambroso. Hang tight as we reset here. One day, maybe, we're going to reset at the bottom of the hour. Brian, hang on here as we get going. But I want to say that the thing that happened this weekend literally was viewed on OAN, the national network. Everything you said about the faith has to do with it's popular public opinion. And that's why they put on the mask and they tell you, you can't meet with people, you can't get together, and you can't have Easters, because they don't want you talking to Aunt Nettie and your friends at the park. It goes like this, kids. The American Constitutional Republic, the affairs of states in Oklahoma, beliefs, principles, and opinions of views of people just like mostly me is what the thing is. Tonight, Brian Hobbs, we just interviewed Willie J. Montague. What a show in Florida. And wow, DeSantis. And if we can just get Montague in there in Congress, we will.
Yeah, how are you guys going to put me up after Willie Montague? I mean,
well, listen, this is a public opinion.
Wait a minute. Hobbs, you didn't tell us your biggest claim to fame. You were the house guest of the Bennett's, John and Nicole Bennett, I heard.
Every pick.
Oh.
Every pick was
well, actually, Nicole wasn't there, so it was just me and John.
Oh, okay. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons I bring Willie on from Florida is to make a purposeful connection between Florida and Oklahoma to build public opinion. Literally, I want us to be. I like your opinion, Hobbs, and I like these two guys.
Willie's great,
and I like my opinion, and I want us to make this. All three of my opinions I like, and I think the thing is, it's popular opinion. So here we are after the break. Brian Hobbs, former mayor, just recently finishing his episode there as mayor of Newkirk, Oklahoma, and he's telling us about his episode at the Health and Freedom Conference put on by Clay Clark, an amazing event, really, really amazing, putting us on the map at OAN. So what else happened at the conference?
Well, my friend John Bennett just won the chairmanship of the Oklahoma Republican Party. And so we were able to get back there and meet a lot of people and touch a lot of gloves, so to speak. So I'm hopeful that maybe some of those connections, we're in this fight together. I mean, Oklahoma's kind of battleground zero. We're the only state that's for the last 4 presidential elections has gone completely red, gone completely, in one direction. And so we're kind of a bellwether for conservatism now. And I believe that General Flynn recognizes that, and he's chosen to help and make Oklahoma kind of battleground zero. And which I think is tremendous, because there's a lot of people who respect what he was put through and what he was ultimately vindicated from. And I think that we've got a lot going on here, and I'm just thankful to be whatever part of that I can be. And so that was part of the outreach, and that's why I wanted us to be there. And we were, and made a lot of friends, a lot of new friends, a lot of new connections. And so I think that's going to help our party and our state and our country ultimately in the future, personally.
Running for mayor and serving for mayor, not just running, but literally serving. This is a civil servant's job. And I know Bennett, we've had him on the show, tremendously respectful dude. There's no way to touch his resume. And
no.
That's what we do here on 3D Politics. We have resumes that you can't even read. That's how long they are. And but Bennett, he was complimenting us at 3D Politics for what we do for standing on the wall, is what he called it. And
Amen.
So this is the public opinion. It takes every pixel is important. I do what I can do. If you can run for mayor and actually serve for mayor, that's great. I suggest that anybody who can run for office, exercising the American system, strengthens the American system. So,
well, I would say anybody who can run for office and stand for constitutional values should run for office.
I like that, because
all of them just said amen.
Yeah, because I've questioned these people who say, well, conservative. And I say, what are you conserving? And I made the point, I am a constitutional conservative. That is, I want to conserve the Constitution, not just tradition or something.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, and that's just, like my term, it was a very, I served in probably, and I've been here my whole life, so I can say this honestly, and I don't say this to pat myself on the back or toot my own horn, but the years that I was in, we dealt with more than I've ever seen in my town ever. And we had a tornado, a flood, record low temperatures, and a pandemic. And then I had to fight against people to make sure they didn't lock my city down and start forcing people to stay home and these crazy and insane things. So it was, and I'm glad I was the guy that could be there to protect our freedoms at that time. And I believe that was my job. And I did my job.
A very good example.
External validation for sure. You did deal with a lot of stuff. I mean,
well, and
yeah, it was crazy.
And sadly, and we've talked about this, you've had to pay the political price. I know you're probably thankful that you don't have to do everything for free anymore, but you've had to pay the political price because it's the weird thing. If you do your job right, you're not necessarily popular enough to get reelected because people want you to vote in all their free stuff.
Yum-yums. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
The yum-yums. Yeah. And I turned down the yum-yums. I'll tell you, I turned down the yum-yums. And so, there's a price to be paid for that as well. But that's okay. I mean, sometimes people have to get a taste of the other side before they realize that, hey, this guy was trying to defend us. And that's okay. I dumped a lot of time and energy into John Bennett's race, and mine was at the exact same time. And I don't regret it because I believe that resounding. You
ran around the state for me too, Brian. I owe you a debt of gratitude.
Okay. Yeah. You're welcome, brother. But I was putting in time, and I don't regret that at all. I do not regret it at all. That's what needed to be done. And we won the race. Not that mine was not important. It was, but my people knew me. There wasn't too much I was going to be able to do. They had a preconceived notion of me one way or the other, whether it was, most likely the events that at the Capitol, which I wasn't even involved in, but got labeled for. And so that was either going to sink me or not. And, and that's, like I said, that's fun.
Can we ask?
Sure. How about it?
Okay. So
absolutely.
For those who don't know, along with myself, Brian Hobbs was at the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol on the evil day of January 6th, right? And someone, you tell us who, reported that you violated the Capitol grounds. You violated the Capitol, and you went in and you were one of these evil terrorists. So tell us the story a little bit, what's going on and what you're doing about it.
Well, this all happened so fast. I left. I had to stay in Newkirk long enough to vote against an eminent domain issue the day that I left. So I was actually planning on leaving that morning. I didn't get to leave till like 4 o'clock in the afternoon because we had a special meeting. And so I felt like I needed to be here to vote against that. I knew I was going to lose that, but I felt out of principle I needed to be here to cast my vote against eminent domain. And so I did. And I got out of here late, drove through the night, slept for about 3 hours in the car, got up, drove another 10, 12-hour leg, and got to right outside of D.C. and got a room, went to bed, got up the next morning and went into Washington, D.C., took the subway, went in. I hadn't been there in 20 plus years since I graduated Apache school in Virginia. Is the whole thing's very troubling. Like I've said before, I was very sad driving in because, when I left, it was just kind of a different animal. I was very proud of, where my country was, and being a graduating Apache helicopter school and then driving back in, being so sad to see where my republic is today. But I felt like I needed to be there just as a voice for election integrity. Nobody I know, nor nobody I know that knows anybody had any intention of rioting or any of that nonsense. It was peaceful. Everything I witnessed was peaceful. I live streamed most of it. I mean, I was live streaming all day, and then I had to get a backup battery.
No wonder they picked on you. You were literally bringing truth live stream, and they're like, "Wow, we got to stop that.
Shut him down.
Yeah.
Lock him up."
Yeah. Yes.
Have that,
Well, and when things started going sideways, I didn't know. Nobody outside knew what was going on in the Capitol. We were out there singing the national anthem, and people were chanting, and I was really just documenting most of it.
Right.
And I was up there. I had actually walked by each police officer that was standing out there and said, "Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your." And they each, as I walked down the line, they'd all nod and acknowledge. And then I got to the end of the line, and about the time I started walking back, they started popping tear gas. I thought, okay, this isn't good. So I just literally walked down and walked away.
Well, Brian, we interfaced at that time. You gave me a call back because I left a text. You said I can't get a cell phone unless I get a couple blocks away from the Capitol.
Right.
And that's when I said, "Now, Brian, you did not go in the building. Please tell me you did." And you said, "No, not going in there." You know,
not even close. I wasn't even close to going in the building.
But then you called me. I think we connected once you got out of the Beltway. And I think I said to you at that time, thank God you got out, because Oldham didn't. And he was living in a concentration camp for a while.
Oh, my. Wow.
Wow.
Well,
he was paying rent. He was paying for room.
You got out of the city, but they literally had our hotel surrounded. Well, at least they had cops stationed at the entrances, and if you left and went out on the street, because they declared a curfew, if you went out on the street, they immediately arrested you. But the Uber people and the Uber Eats and those people could come and go, but not you if you were staying in the hotel. You were
right. It's unreal. It's unbelievable. The civil rights violations that went on that day are atrocious. It's just disgusting. The whole thing's disgusting. The fact that we had elected Oklahoma senators coming out, basically painting all of us with the same brush, saying how vile it all was, and just the most political cowardice I've seen possibly in my lifetime. It was just egregious.
Don't provoke me into some sort of statement about Langford.
Well, don't do that, because I want to get back to what's going on with you, because you had a newspaper actually libel you.
Some little rag.
Some little rag out of New York.
Yeah.
And so you are pulling what's his name? The kid at the Lincoln Monument. You're pulling one of his
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Nick Sandman. You're pulling a Nick Sandman, right?
Well,
Tell us a little bit.
I have to defend my name. I mean, these people. I had to move my children out of my house down to my brother's in Texas for like 3 weeks or something. And I mean, this is crazy. All for something I never said.
Yeah.
And it came in, and it came so fast that when it was coming at us, it came so fast that I didn't know I'd never been in a position like that before. Being having these people call, and what's really sad is I can't tell you. I know a lot of people who were there, and they were veterans. And you're calling veterans traitors? I mean, that's just it doesn't get much lower than that. I'm sorry. It just
Van hit it.
Appalling.
Okay, Brian, I hear you're going back for more, except this time it's the Oklahoma Capitol, and you're going in the building tomorrow night.
Indeed, I am. And we're going to make our voices heard. I'm not standing down, and nobody else should either. They came at me. They lied about me. The event is tomorrow. It's basically I call it a freedom rally. But my understanding is
states' rights.
Don Spencer is spearheading this, and OPAC, the Oklahoma Conservative Legislature, OCPA, and Oklahoma's for health, freedom, and and parental rights. They're all on board with this, as well as the state party. John Bennett has released a statement through the state GOP as well, and it is so beautiful to see all the conservative factions in Oklahoma united behind this. It's wonderful. Now the question is what shenanigans is Greg Treat going to pull?
You guys are listening to Brian Hobbs, a recent mayor of Newkirk, Oklahoma, with David Oldham, about to ask a question for constitutionalgrounds.com and listening. David,
I've been hit up about HB 1236, which is what you're going for. So if anybody wants to read up on it, HB 1236, go to oklegislature.gov, and you can read up about it. But what concerns me is, and I haven't heard anybody else calling for this, is we need the House version back because the Senate has completely gutted the decent bill written by
Charles
House
McCall.
Speaker Charles McCall.
Yeah.
And what came out of the House was decent, passed by an overwhelming majority, 85 or 87 to 15, something.
You know the number of that.
That's 80-something co-authors.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's that?
We've lost about 80% of anybody who doesn't know what's going on, like me. So what is the Oldham? The number of the bill that came out of the House that you said was wrecked by the Senate. What's that?
House
number?
Bill 1236.
And the Senate wrecked it.
And the Senate has completely wrecked it. What now Senator Treat is not willing to hear it for whatever reason. I just got a text from a senator who says that he's against nullification in general, and that may be why he's not wanting to hear it.
Okay.
But the Senate in the Rules Committee gutted it. Now, what it does is assert states' rights. If the federal government is violating their authority, then it puts the legislature in a position to actually deal with it. If it was the House version, otherwise it's like, what? My concern is that we're pushing for something that we're not, that's not going to mean anything anyway.
If I could, I can, there's some very late breaking stuff happening today. I just want to share this with you. This is House Bill 1236. McCall wrote it with Mark McBride's help, two veterans there. And you can see how it passed the House here. Look at all of these names that every Republican said, yeah, I'm signing on with the Speaker as a co-sponsor. It gets to the Senate. It's sponsored by Julie Daniels. Julie, who's, been a pretty solid person as senators go. But look what happened today. Greg Treat removed Senator Daniels. Maybe it was with her help. I don't know. I haven't heard from Julie. But Greg Treat put himself in as the principal author in the Senate of this. This gives him
why?
Control.
Yeah.
Well,
so that way Matt Pinnell can't come in and make him hear it.
So that was the thing. I called Brian yesterday and I said, here's the thing. There was once a time when Mary Fallon was courageous and it was the right to work bill and the Democrats controlled the legislature. They got it through the House and they needed to pass the Senate. They had the votes and the Senate pro temp wouldn't bring it up. So Mary Fallon, as back then Lieutenant Governor, goes in, grabs the gavel and says, all right, I'm calling up this bill. Matt Pinnell could do the same thing. The problem is the rules of the Senate says that the principal author presents the bill. So even if Matt Pinnell brings it up, now he's got to ask Greg Treat to present his bill. You see?
Which he
this
doesn't
is the
care
maneuver.
about doing.
Now, Greg Treat for today said, I'm going to be making some changes again to this bill. And then I'm going to push it through and I'll get the credit for being the Senate sponsor. So let me pull that out so we can talk now.
Sure. Verbal Rubik's Cube. Go for it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's today's maneuvering going on.
Does anybody know what we're talking about?
It's a bill that says
I do.
whenever the president says, as an edict, I'm going to make an executive ruling or a motion here and just act like a dictator, we can say, if it affects Oklahoma, we can say, no, you're not. No, you're not. And instead of as individuals having to fight federal government and maybe even having the education department or school system forcing it down us, we can have the legislature act on behalf of the whole state and make a ruling says, no, this state is not following that. That's my understanding, that it lays out a process. Oldham, you may have a different reading on it, but I think that's the
Brian, what's your take on it?
What about our guest, Hobbs? Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hobbs.
Quick, before I talk.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm just cracking up.
I'm literally going to burst any minute.
I need more coffee.
Yeah.
We need a 2-hour show, gentlemen, at least.
Oh, God. The audience just groaned. No.
Well, my take is, you know, and it's been my position for some time. And, you know, I suggested some of these bills before this session to some legislator friends, and that we, you know, we're in a position now with this whole presidential debacle going on that we have got to secure our state. And I've been calling it Fortress Oklahoma. We've got to build, I mean, you know, theoretically build some walls around our state and say, I mean, the federal government is involved in so many things they don't have the constitutional authority to be involved in. And I mean, which is just about everything, pretty much. And I mean, they see so much power. We've got to at some point take a stand or we're just going to get run over. And we're at that point, in my opinion. We're at that point in history. And if we don't stand on the wall, if we don't take a stand now, we're in trouble. This is our last chance, in my opinion, to hit the brakes and to try to throw this thing in reverse. And I'm not 100% convinced we can do it, but we got to try.
As Franklin said, we better hang together, or we most certainly will hang separately.
Assuredly hang separate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's where we're at. You know, and somebody said, well, you know, the treat's using this excuse that, well, the Supreme Court could overturn it. Well, what don't they I mean, they do all kinds of crazy stuff all the time. So we're just going to stop doing the right thing because we're not sure it'll stand up to a challenge.
Well,
let's expose our Supreme Court for who they are.
Exactly.
How about that? Let's put them out on Front Street, and then maybe we can get the House and Senate to remove our Oklahoma Supreme Court. You know, we can't do anything about the federal Supreme Court, but we can get rid of our Supreme Court.
For a minute there, guys, did you see the halo over Brian's head? Oh, that was the ceiling fan. Okay.
That was when I was going to.
Mothership.
So let me ask you this, Hobbs. You were there on the day Trump talked and Pence. And so I believe that Trump was a lesser man than Abraham Lincoln by not simply being in charge. What he did was he looked over to Pence and said, hey, would you please do this? I mean, so what I'm asking you is that because Trump pressured Pence to step in and do something with the Electoral College challenging. Okay. And
the only one who could.
And so what I'm saying is, was Pence wrong there? Was Trump wrong for putting the pressure on Pence?
The Constitution put the pressure on Pence.
Abraham Lincoln himself disregarded the Constitution. Who gives a damn? Trump was a wimp compared to Abraham Lincoln, is what I'm saying. Why is he asking?
Maybe he had a little more respect for the Constitution than Abraham Lincoln.
But do you want to save the Constitution of the Union? Which comes first?
The Constitution, without question.
Destroy the Constitution to save the Constitution.
Yeah, right.
Bush.
Were you reading Mein Kampf there? I'm just
G.W. Bush.
Sorry.
But this is a typical thing, though, guys, that Pence didn't actually have any authority. All he was a director. Somebody else had to object to the various states. They had to get a second, then they had to go to the houses, and they had to decide. Pence couldn't do it on his own.
I would disagree with you, Oldham. If you back up one more point to who decides what the facts are, it is only the vice president who says, here are the legitimate reports in the states. And if you don't acknowledge the ones where you have contradicting information in two different sets of electors.
When you read the statutes, it doesn't give him the authority to be able to do that, because the states did provide those things as official provisos. It was Congress' duty to say you held an illegal.
That's a wormhole. I mean, I hear both of you guys. That's a wormhole, though. The point is there shouldn't have been any question where Mike Pence stood. There shouldn't have been any question.
Oh, that absolutely.
I mean, whether we can get off into details, but he slithered away into a little hole. I mean, whenever history came calling at his door, and that's what he'll be remembered for. Same as James Langford, Jim Inhofe, same thing. They should even if they lost, there should have been no question as to whether or not they were standing for the president and for the republic. But now nobody knows, do they? Where are these guys? Now all of a sudden James Langford's a border hawk. Did you see him down at the border when Trump was trying to do it? He was bashing Trump. Now he's a border hawk. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I want to vomit daily.
No, you just don't respect those people who can bend like the contortionist.
Hey, I want to say Clay Clark said at the deal, he is selling flip-flops. If you don't want to buy Jackson Lahmeyer's book, he's selling flip-flops that say James Langford on them.
Yeah, and Brian, you told a great story.
That's good.
Now, Oldham has met, one of the newer bloggers on the Sooner Politics platforms, Mary Rook. And she was also an author for the Federalist Papers, expert in the Constitution. She confronted the Langfords, Mr. and Mrs. at the convention. You were telling me the story. And what was it that Mrs. Langford, in her condescending way, finally interrupted to save her husband and said what to Mary?
She said, "Have you even read the Constitution?" And I'm pretty sure Mary probably had a pocket Constitution on her. I told her afterwards, I said, she should have pulled it out and handed it to him and said, "Here, maybe you both should read this." Because something's lacking here.
This is the condescension. And then what kind of man hides behind his wife to be his attack dog?
Yeah, how dare you question the church camp counselor? How dare you? I've just had enough. I've had enough.
I mean, challenging. One of the outrageous things I said on Facebook and Twitter is that gay sex and pedophilia is more outrageous than challenging electors in a presidential election. I mean, isn't it literally like constitutional that you literally can? And when Langford said he was going to challenge the electors and then didn't because there was a loud bang in the hall, this leads us to the solution to all our problems, and that is the repeal of the 17th Amendment. The problem that we have with Langford is that he's not submissive to the Oklahoma State Legislature. He is only submissive to whoever, and skip my crude joke, he is submissive to, he is running a popularity contest. Okay? Thank you. That's all.
Well, he's going to lose this one. He's going to lose this one, I'm sure.
He's in trouble. He's in trouble.
He better be in trouble. But he better be in trouble for the right reasons. We all hate Thomas Sowell made me understand just recently. I read the history of slavery. Thomas Sowell, the fact is that racism is born of slavery, not the other way around. Okay, so let's be fine with being against something like Langford, but let's be against him for the right reasons. Okay, we got to kick him out for the right reasons, and we've got to repeal the 17th Amendment to make senators adhere to the state legislatures. Otherwise, the states have no representation at the federal government. Hobbs.
That's what's going on right now. I agree. I got nothing.
So when I asked Lawmeyer, who's my guy, he's like, well, let me ask my experts, because he has no freaking idea about it.
Right.
He's called by
God.
He doesn't know about
he and I had that conversation. And I understand where you're coming from. And I will make this statement. I would rather elect somebody who's not sure on policy and can learn, that has principles and values, that can learn that, and a pair of stones to stand for those.
Sincere and transparent and honest too to Lawmeyer. Okay, that's why I'm in his camp. But he's got to understand the 17th Amendment and why it's bad. Solutions is what our audience wants on 3D politics. They don't give a damn.
We're working with him on that.
Solutions is all they want.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I understand, and he'll admittedly say that he's got stuff to learn.
He did on our show. He says, I'm going to have to look into the 17th Amendment. But the thing I'm excited about is I've got both David Vann and David Oldham agreeing with me. And that is incredible. Every Monday night, Politics Live right here.
All right. Well, let me write this down.
Just put it in the golden books for the Mormon
Yes.
line.
Yes.
We
Scribe
just
on
really
there.
want to thank, as we close out we got about a minute here to close out. Brian Hobbs, recent mayor of Newkirk. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate all your service.
Absolutely.
And anything you want to say
Tomorrow
before
night.
we get out of here? Oh, yeah,
tomorrow
Tuesday night, tomorrow night.
Yes. If you guys can make it out, please make it. It starts around 3:00. There will be meeting with legislators. Then I think it's 5:30
Where
to
is
6
it?
at the Oklahoma State Capitol,
4th
23rd and Lincoln,
Rotunda.
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll become pretty obvious when you get in the building.
Yeah.
where it's at. Fourth floor, 6:00 pizza party. Don Spencer,
Yeah.
OK2A, is buying pizza for all of us.
Wow.
So if you guys can make it, please come. This is going to be an event that I think will. It's going to be an event that
It's a
it's
liberty
going to go in the
event.
history books.
It's a states'
Well, and
rights event.
This is the first of many. I have a
Yes.
feeling.
Yes.
We're here. The conservatives are here, and we're here to take
There's
our party
new
back. And we're here to
energy,
take our
folks.
state back.
New energy in this place.
You are part of the public opinion we're trying to build here, and I appreciate you being on the show tonight. Brian,
Absolutely.
Let's send him out. We appreciate you being here. We'll have you
Thanks,
on,
guys.
Brian.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Brian. All right.
See you guys.
Gentlemen, take yourselves out so we can reset and finish off the show.
That. Still there.
The American Constitutional Republic. Affairs of state in Oklahoma. The beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people just like me. This is 3D Politics. Featuring me. Featuring me. Oh my God. Featuring me, Tommy McKay, your fine comedian, political humorist, father of 5, and former Tulsa mayoral candidate. But of course, we would be nowhere if it weren't for David Vann, the creator of Sooner Politics, and David Oldham, founder and scholar at constitutionalgrounds.com. Gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I like this show. I think we bring on quality guests and we kick the crap out of everything that's bigger than us. I do say that they brought in Mark K on whatever that station's name is. It's so popular I can't mention it. And he's pretty damn good. So I mean, wow, he's really good, you know. So I don't want to hurt myself. But Willie J. Montague, Brian Hobbs, and the rest that we continue to bring here on 3D Politics. So guys, before I go on, what else? What do you want? You want to reflect? What do you got? What else?
All right, Oldham's got something, don't you?
Oldham, what do you got, buddy?
Well, it was mostly going to be about the HB 1236, and I think the big thing there is
Hold on,
got to get the House.
Which
bill
one's
back.
HB? HB
1236. There was what we were
Those
just
are
talking
great
about
three.
with Hobbs.
I thought we had a 17th Amendment issue here.
What's that?
17th Amendment?
Okay, I'm not quite following you. Which
There's a lot of viewers that have just joined us. Just
for those who have just joined us,
yes.
Last week, Joe Biden, and I don't think we talked about this last week, but Joe Biden went after guns, and it was a lot of talk at the GOP convention and so forth. And all you hear in the normal media is Second Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Amendment. But let's understand, when Joe Biden made his announcement, what he was doing was much more than the Second Amendment. He was going after every single one of our sense of security. Our knowledge that we can be secure with our property, no matter what we are doing, that we are secure in our person and our property and effects. that doesn't exist if Joe Biden gets his way through the courts. I mean, through the legislature, and with his executive orders that he was talking about doing, his magic pen.
Well,
but, and so he's coming after your Fourth Amendment protections. He's coming after your Fifth Amendment protections because he's going right past due process. He's just saying none of y'all have due process. We're just going to say you don't get it. You don't have any right to it. It doesn't matter that you already own the things. We're now declaring them illegal, and he's creating an ex post facto situation.
All right, man. What's your
listen, there's a lot of people that have a lot of concern about things, all these guns out there, and they just think it'd be better, we'd be safer if we just didn't have to worry about all those guns out there. And then people going around without a vaccine, and we need to have some kind of card so that we know who's got a vaccine. And then to find out who's a citizen, we ought to have a big yellow 6-point star saying I'm a citizen and I feel safe, right? Okay, that just fell flat, didn't it?
No, you're absolutely right. That's why we need our guns, is because everybody who's trying to make us do that needs to have a gun
to be safe.
Them, pretty much.
They're selling us safety at the cost of our liberty.
And that is exactly what they're attempting to do. All you have to do is put on the Nazi swastika and everything will be okay, because or the red star and sickle. You just have to put on whatever symbol they tell you have to put on.
It's okay to be a Jew as long as you're a registered Jew, right? It's okay to have a gun as long as it's a registered gun.
Well, it's not really okay.
I know. I'm being sarcastic here. I guess I'm not as good as Tom at it.
Hey, ask my wife about sarcasm. Here's the deal.
Sarcastic one.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Go ahead.
But that's exactly what it is. It comes down to all these things. And so, in fact, I was commenting today on some posts about the licensing problem and the extortion, the criminalization and extortion scheme that every licensing scheme is.
Yeah.
All right, let me pitch you for the sake of the audience. Let me pit you against me for a second.
Okay.
My idea to combat G.T. Bynum in the 2016 mayoral debate was that I said, let's extend the lifespan of cyclical municipal regulations. That is, if you have a business license and it lasts 1 year, make it last 2 years.
There you go.
If it lasts whatever it lasts, you make it last double.
Yep.
Okay? And all I was doing was mimicking the absurdity of the slutism that they do with our taxism by saying, we're not raising. This is what Dewey Bartlett Jr. said. We're not going to raise your taxes. We're just going to extend the level of how long we rape you. We're not going to rape you again. We're just going to continue to rape you. Like, well, that's a rape.
Yeah, it's like the mortgage company saying, "Oh, we're not going to raise the cost of your house. We're just going to extend the mortgage payments another 20 years."
My argument with Oldham is that I'm brilliant. I appreciate you guys backing me up. The thing is that Oldham continues to not condone anti-incrementalism. That is, incrementalism on our side. The left and the progressive caustic vomit continues to always generate momentum on their side by continuing to lean into the continual caustic progressive nature. It's incrementalism is what works. Okay? But Oldham never likes incrementalism. What he wants is a bleach clean world where we all certainly start from a brand new beginning. And all of a sudden, poof, we're in a brand new land. Oldham, the problem here is we've got to battle the incrementalism with our own incrementalism. Go you.
All right. Well, the problem is this. What we are actually fighting isn't incrementalism. It is lawlessness. Now, they do bring about lawlessness incrementally. We are owed lawful governance, and that we are owed every moment of every day, no matter what, from every single person in government, every single last solitary one. They are our servants, not the other way around, yet they operate just as though it's the other way around, that they're superior to us. And that never goes away. Now, you will never hear me saying, oh, incrementalism is great, it's the way to go. No. Is it in the toolbox and something that's going to get done? Yes. But I'm going to move the Overton window, as it were, so that those who are bringing about the incremental aspects can come up underneath. But we're always going to be calling for what is just and right.
All right, Van, quick before I go again.
I thought I had a front row seat to a civil war here, but I think this is brilliant. I think Oldham did this exactly. And Tom, I thought you asked the right question, because this is the 101 guide to viewing this show. You have to understand Oldham and where he's coming from. Because here's the thing, we all battle this thing of our ideals and our pragmatism. And we're all at war with ourselves. And Oldham just tends to be a little more over here on the ideals than maybe I'm, probably a little more pragmatist, maybe a little more political about it. But I think we have to hear from Oldham, where are we supposed to be? Because if you keep going up the middle for 3 yards, you don't realize that the end zone's way down there, and that's where you score. You don't score here.
You know, my position of my understanding of the 3/5 rule, remember that thing where they were arguing about how we're going to calculate the slave population?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. And
well,
like,
yeah, right.
Yeah. To rush through, for my understanding, they were like, da, 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 da. And so the argument is, 3/5 of a man. I was like, no, from a scientific standpoint, they won the argument, knowing that ultimately these were scientists arguing with agrarians, right? And so the scientists were like, okay, if you'll agree to 3/5 of a man, you know, which is like almost a trick question, because there's no such thing as 3/5 of a man. And if you do the numbers like the scientists would, literally they tricked him into agreeing to 3/5 of a man, because there's no, when the scientists knew when you calculate the Constitution out at 3/5 of the man that they would win the mathematical argument. But the agrarians were so stupid they didn't get it. Okay, so let's not be so stupid as to think that our founding fathers envisioned slaves at 3/5 of the man. What they did was use incrementalism to win the argument of the day.
Okay.
That's a theory.
That's a little bit different, but it also had nothing to do with science, because it was just one group of greedy people versus another group of greedy people, and everybody wanting their own way.
Sorry, Oldham. Science is numbers. 3/5 of a man, according to a 4/5 of a man, is literally science.
Okay,
you're solving for X.
Okay, that's a good point, Tom. In that was a strategy. It's not the only winning strategy, but it is a strategy. Whereas you go to England, Wilberforce defeated slavery, I think, before the United States, if I recall, and didn't have the 3/5 as a strategy. Correct. So there are plenty of ways to win a battle.
To be accurate, you're accurate. The Quakers, the religious right, you would call them, were the first to come out against slavery.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so, but my point is, against Oldham's rejection of incrementalism, as I call it, that is, he doesn't want to work I shouldn't say it that way. Oldham supports a wholesale change of stuff as opposed to incrementalism to get our way.
Well, remember, the only thing I want is criminality to end. And
all right. Okay. Let me ask you this.
What we spent all our time talking about with Brian and so forth was all of this illegal government behavior. That is due us right now. Throw them all in jail.
We're 20 minutes past what anybody cares about except for us three.
Hey, we were going to mention about Ben Sass's jumping on the 17th Amendment. I just thought,
that's right. That's right.
I'm gonna, because Oldham did all of my prep for this show by bringing me that article from 2020. I'm like, well, hell, I don't have to look anything up because he got me that. Yeah, we'll do that. But let's talk about crime versus let's talk about vice versus crime, and how we just recently had this traffic violation. We had a traffic stop that went murder. Okay.
Right.
And so what I have come up with, and I'm only, this is like, I can easily get off this because I'm not like saying it's right. It's just like an idea, because remember in Oklahoma, we had Bobby Bates. He ran in late, like a second responder. I have zero respect for second responders according to the last year, because we only love first responders. Second responders are dirt. You're nothing. You're listening to Tommy McKay, your fine verbal Viking, right here at 3dpoliticslive.com. And David Van and David Oldham are here with me. So what I'm saying is, where was I?
Second responders.
Second responders.
No, second responders are dirt. The first responders are everything. And so,
so was he the second on scene? Because I haven't actually.
All I know is Bobby Bates ran in and then accidentally grabbed his gun instead of his taser. So my suggestion that will be blown out of the water by people who are professional law enforcement, I was to say, traffic violations are not a crime. Correct, Oldham?
Depends upon the violation.
I'm not saying
no.
If it's a violation,
they're not a felony. In the broader sense, it's a crime in that it's infraction.
Well, it depends upon what it is.
No, if you speed 75 in a 45, that's not a crime. It's a traffic violation. If you run over somebody and kill them, now that's a crime.
It's a felony then, yeah.
My point is, traffic, they literally cannot run traffic violations through criminal court because there's no victim. Traffic court is different, like drug court from criminal court. Okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling this rabbit trail sucking me. It says there's no crime if there's no victim. You shouldn't be arrested, but that's me.
Well, I'm lost now. You guys have just
Oldham, I'm
not
back
sure
something.
that I know exactly where this is all going.
Yeah,
because it does run. If the whole traffic regulation infraction thing does run a bit afoul of our Constitution and our laws.
What I'm saying is to prevent officers from confusing their damn taser.
Yeah.
From their, this is like, look, if you're a transgender, here's how we keep you from confusing your penis with your vagina. Okay. What we're going to have is one team of people that are the gun people. And you guys are qualified to carry a gun. And then we got a whole nother little vagina factor that carries tasers and only tasers. And they'll never confuse their stupid asses with their gun and their tasers. Okay.
That's kind of what they do.
So when you pull somebody over for a traffic violation, you should only be allowed to hold a taser. Because
every citizen has a right to keep and bear arms, including cops.
Well, how dare you ruin my whole routine in one shot?
Well, the problem
is,
it
made sense until you said it, Tom.
I thought you were right. That's why I said it.
This is the question. What are they getting into a fight over? Was it legit? I don't actually know the story well enough to be able to comment on it. Like in our Tulsa example, where although the guy had an illegal gun, what they were doing with the stop, the cops were violating the law as well as the guy with the gun was violating the law.
You're talking about the David Ware thing?
Yes.
Okay. So let me just say how you could save lives by my ridiculous conception that if you're going to do a traffic stop, you cannot have a firearm. You can only have a taser. Because if those guys stopped David Ware and they only had a taser, they'd be like, you know what? Let's wait for backup instead of getting our ass.
Well, then you get the second or third responder.
Here's the thing. Before they had tasers, they had billy clubs or riot clubs. Okay? That's the difference. They quit carrying the clubs when they had the tasers that just have you just pull the trigger and it just beats them silly, without you having to swing. So this is a problem we have when we get high tech in our cops.
The coppers in England were not required to fight the crime. They required to have a whistle and a billy club to wake up the citizens to fight the crime. Yeah. The only reason you had a guy stay up all night, and he could be a dolt if you needed to do, is so as long as he had a whistle to wake up the citizens to fight the crime and a billy club to beat off the criminal.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we bought the radios for the cops in the 30s, they invented radio, and there was a big plea. Oh, you know what we should do to save lives? Oh God, and children's lives too. It's because we should save lives by buying radios, and that way we'll end the fast speed chase. But guess what? The high speed chase is fun, and the cops don't want to do without it, because that's part of the fun of being a cop.
Well, okay. Yeah. And here's the thing, all of those toys cost money, which means they have to do a lot more asset forfeiture to buy more toys.
What I'm saying is they don't want to give up the high-speed chase, just like they don't want to give up the confrontation of a firearm during a traffic stop. Do you really need a gun to give a speeding ticket? And the answer is no. And then they say, but the most dangerous thing is a routine traffic stop. And I say, not when you pull me over, and not when you pull my wife over, and not when you pull two Davids over, and not when you pull anybody I know over. The literally 0 times that I know of is a regular routine traffic stop dangerous. And if it is, what the hell are you doing trying to pull your gun out?
Tom, they got to justify all that paramilitary gear they're buying off of the Army. You know,
that's number one. But number two is a lot of these stops go violent because what the police are doing is illegal. It's unconstitutional. Yeah. Turn on YouTube and they're all over the place where these police officers are ramping up the energy of these stops and turning them into bad stops. And if it wasn't for the calmness of the people who are being subjected to all of this, the stop would go really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really bad.
You remember the thing with the David Ware thing is that, and the police chief said, and they told him, they commanded him 40 times. I'm like, dude,
let him go, pick him up later.
Are you asleep at the wheel? Why don't you yell at a brick wheel 40 times? So what I'm saying is those two officers would never have been assaulted if they were limited in their ability to bring warfare. Give them tasers, not weapons. A friend of mine, I don't watch football anymore because of all the flags. But a friend of mine said, if you want to lower the injuries in football, get rid of all the pads and the helmets and stuff. If you've ever put a helmet on a 5th grade football student, they're like, the minute you put a helmet on a kid, what's the first thing they do?
They
knock their head into a wall to see how well the helmet works.
They go Gus Farad on you.
Because it's like, this is human nature. So the reason we have concussions in football today is we've equipped them with the equipment that makes them feel like they're invincible. And they go break their stupid neck on the field thinking, I can throw myself around. Tom, the same problem with the cops who have a gun instead of a taser. Traffic violation. There's no reason for a gun to give a traffic violation.
I would say yes to that, but I would also say it is the disrespect of so many police of the law itself, especially our Constitution, that leads to these situations. Because generally speaking, if you have a legitimate infraction, deal with it. I think we saw it in the idea of the interaction with David Ware. He was not averse to taking the infraction, the ticket. He was against them taking his car, and he was really against them finding the illegal gun because he was a felon, either on parole or a felon in possession of a gun. And them escalating it into something they had no authority to do is what caused the situation. That would never happen.
And the power behind their ability to push it was the gun on their holster. Had they only had
In
the
part.
taser,
Yeah.
Well,
had they only had the taser, they would have asked for backup.
that's one. And there are three factors here. And now I'm going to use broad generalizations here.
Not me.
The worst cops you're going to run into are going to be municipal police officers. Why? Because you don't vote for them. They weren't elected by you. They weren't hired by you. They aren't there to serve and protect you. They're there to serve and protect the city. Okay, that's one. Highway patrolmen, they're not elected by you, but let me tell you, when you get out on a lonely highway out in rural Oklahoma, it's you and them, and they don't know who you are. And so you know what? They're usually a lot more respectful. That's been my experience. Okay, so these are a couple of things that do factor into how they're gonna behave around you.
So 2 points. When you're out on that lonely highway, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol is the only guy you really want to find. He's the guy that will actually save you. When you're in Tulsa Municipal, you get pulled over by a guy who lives in Broken Arrow or Jinx.
Yeah.
Okay, so they go home to Broken Arrow, Jinx, and mow their lawn. They come to Tulsa to fix it. They're going to fix it. But when they go home, they just mow their lawn like their wife says. But when they come to Tulsa, we're going to fix you, dumb idiot. You know, I'm telling you, I think I'm right. Only because of the respect I got. Nobody said it. Listen, if you're going to pull people over for traffic, then only tasers. And that will keep people from getting killed. And the cops are going to freak out and say I'm stupid.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, I would say
I think that it certainly couldn't hurt, but I think broader, we have to bring the judiciary into line so that we can get rid of the illegal governance, because then we can easily stand behind our police.
Yeah.
One of the things. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, the Brooklyn Center situation, that's my old stomping grounds at Twin Cities. That's a kind of a lower middle class suburb right out on the north side of Minneapolis. And this kid, 20 years old, had a failure to appear in court, a warrant, a bench warrant. When you got a lawful order to go to court and you thumb your nose, that's called pulling a moto around here. And you will go to jail for doing that. When they say show up, you don't win by not showing up. You know, that's how it got escalated. That's how it turned into, we're taking you in. And that's what freaked him out. And so he ended up, fighting, and he's dead.
The bigger issue is a philosophy up at the 1,000-foot level of trusting the citizenry or not trusting the citizenry. The American constitutional republic allowed the citizens to be weaponized because they trusted the citizenry. Carthage, that was defeated by Rome, they didn't allow their citizens to be weaponized. And that's how they fell once the perimeter was breached. Yeah. And so we have weapons for a reason. And the Bobby in England, who only had a whistle and a billy club, trusted that once he alerted the citizenry to the crime or the criminality, that the citizens would be responsible for their own protection. And that is a respect of the citizenry. What we have today is we expect the policeman to come over to our house to fight the guy next door who I hate because he plays his music so loud. It's like there's no respect anymore. We totally expect the cops to do everything instead of protecting our own. We are not only responsible for we're not only free for freedom of our own protection, but we're responsible for our own protection. Cops can't be there all the time.
Okay, I need a prediction from you before we close out tonight.
All right.
I just watched the closing arguments on the Derek Chauvin murder case, the Minneapolis policeman, the George Floyd death. I'll start out. I predict not guilty on all charges. What do you think?
Sounds right.
I haven't followed it, so I wouldn't know what the actual evidence said to be able to have a comment.
I haven't either, but I guess you're right.
The closing arguments today were so compelling in Chauvin's defense.
The guy's got police immunity. I mean, I don't know all the business.
I don't think necessarily that he should be off on everything, but I don't know. I mean, there was supposedly he wasn't leaning on the guy's neck for 9 minutes.
It starts and ends there. Did he die from the knee on his shoulder, neck, back, whatever you want to call it?
Or that he didn't allow people to give aid when it became evident that he needed
that's the best one you got.
That he needed aid.
That's
the question
and that was the one to where the whole police force and EMSA and everybody, EMSA, their paramedics, they all agreed on that point. You could not, in that hostile environment, you could not render aid. They had to get him in, get him out, and pull over somewhere else.
Oh, you mean in the hostile environment with the people around?
Right.
Oh, well, did they try? That all comes down to how is the scene handled, and that's all the stuff that the jury's going to have to look at and decide.
Exactly.
I don't know. I haven't followed it. I've been busy every day.
At best, they'll give him a manslaughter. Probably of Bob Bates.
Yes, and I doubt that too, because you're going to have police immunity. You're listening to Fine Shows. We close out an hour and a half of fine commentary with David Vann, creator of Sooner Politics, and David Oldham, founder and scholar at constitutionalgrounds.com. Tommy McKay here. Catch me at verbalviking.com. And I got to say, guys, I appreciate you being here every week and all the time. And I also love the fact we had Willie J. Montague from Florida bringing us the Florida Freedom Update from our sister state in Florida. DeSantis is going to lead us into the new century. And of course, Brian Hobbs from Newkirk, and we appreciate him. Don't forget, we're going to be here next Monday night. So, guys, we'll see you again next Monday, okay?
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.